From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Coming up on AgDay, lost in rugged terrain, how two young sisters survived 44 hours on their own.
It really is a miracle.
Calving in brutally cold temperatures, how producers and their animals are faring.
The Ag Economy Barometer brought some good news at the start of the year, but will it last? I'll show you some numbers.
AgDay, presented by the all-new Chevy Silverado, the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. The latest Ag Economy Barometer by Purdue University and the CME Group showing farmer sentiment is not as good as it was last month, and perception drops due to economic conditions in rural America. AgDay's Betsy Gibbon joins us now from the newsroom with more. Betsy.
Clinton, the barometer is now a modest 7 points from what it was a month ago, now at levels we haven't seen since last fall. And researchers say the positive impact of the market facilitation program is now fading. The report saying the mix of both positive and negative comments shows the amount of uncertainty going on right now in farm country. The percentage of respondents expecting lower farmland values 5 years from now is virtually unchanged from January's reading. Purdue's Jim Mintert says producers had a little bit of a more negative attitude on making large investments on their farming operations.
The large farm investment index fell to a reading of 50 versus 62 a month earlier. That still leaves that index above its low that was established last September when the index dipped all the way to 42. But it does also leave the index well below where it was this time last year. This time last year, that index stood at a reading of 72.
Farmers are still positive on some things. They are a bit more optimistic on the ag exports, as the percentage of farmers expecting ag exports to increase over 5 years rose 4%. For example, farmers saying that marketing risk is a higher concern than financial and production risk. And researchers say that just shows that farmers have uncertainty with commodity prices. Clinton?
All right, thanks, Betsy. As for the U.S. getting a trade deal with China, a China minister says working level discussions continue with U.S. counterparts. The Chinese Commerce Minister saying the talks so far have been difficult, but he also said there had been a breakthrough in some areas and called on both sides to meet halfway if they wanted a deal. He also reiterated one view of the talks, that they have to be based on the principle of mutual respect and equality. Washington insiders telling us a tentative date of Wednesday, March 27th is when President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping may meet. Now on the U.S. side, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo saying President Trump will reject any deal that is not perfect. But Reuters reports the U.S. will keep working on an agreement. Pompeo making remarks following his stop in Iowa. He attended a conference for farmers. Pompeo also saying he's confident the U.S. will get the right outcome. Remember when China said it would be buying another 10 million metric tons of U.S. soybeans? That was on February 22nd, and so far, it doesn't look like it's happened yet. But USDA's Outlook Board Chairman Seth Myers says that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But the news about the possible Chinese purchase had its good and bad effects. It brought U.S. soybean prices up a bit. But right now, the Brazilians are in the middle of their soybean harvest. Their prices are down, and there's also concern U.S. sales to China are only about 15% of what they normally are. And the prices may not improve for a while until China lives up to that 10 million metric ton commitment. Also on the trade front, President Trump planning to end preferential trade treatment for India and Turkey. The U.S. Trade Representative's office announcing the president will no longer allow products from the two countries to enter the U.S. duty-free as part of a beneficiary program. He said that India has not assured the U.S. of complete access to its markets and that Turkey is no longer a developing country. India played down the impact, saying it was keeping retaliatory tariffs out of trade talks. The country has currently been exporting $5.6 billion worth of goods to the U.S. duty-free. The administration continuing to work on other trade fronts, leaving 2019 with the potential for several big agreements. The U.S. Trade Representative's office saying following a deal with China, the U.S. will also pursue trade negotiations with Japan, the European Union, and the U.K. Now, for wheat growers, Japan is a must as the new CPTPP agreement takes hold.
The U.S. had about 50% of that export market. Now that CTPP has been enacted, the U.S. is at a $15 per metric ton disadvantage between Australia and Canada because they have lower tariffs. We are expected to drop our export market from 50%, probably closer to 23%. So we're going to lose over half of that export market by not being a part of TPP. So again, that's why this bilateral with Japan is important. That's why it's important, because they've said they'll accept the TPP language, which will again put the wheat grower, U.S. wheat grower, back on the same ground or level playing ground with Australia and Canada.
The EPA moving forward with plans to get year-round E15 approved in time for the summer driving season. Reuters saying the agency sent a draft of its proposed rule to the White House Office of Budget for review. Now, the rule includes measures the oil industry has been trying to get put in place to get around speculation in the biofuels credit market. Now, after the budget office is done, the proposed rule will be public, and there will be public comment before it can be finalized. The process needs to wrap up before June 1st in order for it to make it by the summer driving season. Some dairy farmers in Minnesota being forced to dump their milk. It's due to the heavy snow that shut down roads, even damaging some farms. The executive director of the Minnesota Milk Producers Association saying there are tons of dairies that have had to dump milk. He estimates that it's in the hundreds, but says it may be over 1,000. The snow is preventing many tanker trucks from getting down rural roads to pick up the milk. Snow has also caved in the roofs of at least 20 dairy barns in the state, in some cases killing and injuring cattle. The Twin Cities saw the snowiest February on record, with 39 inches falling for the month. Much of the nation experiencing another cold snap to start March. The temperatures setting records across the country. And while we're all dreaming for warmer weather, calving season is underway. Megan Hoffman with AgDay affiliate KFYR reports from the Northern Plains.
Baby calves like these ones are being born every day on Frank Melchier's ranch just outside of Almont. He says these twins came into the world at about 1 a.m. Thursday and are staying in his barn for a little while to build up their strength before going out into the cold.
If it's born outside, you better find it within a couple minutes, or they're going to get so cold that chances of they probably won't come out of it.
Melchior says when the calves are born, he gets them into the barn, which with the heaters can get up to 30 or 40 degrees. But the weeks and weeks of bitter cold is starting to affect the animals.
It starts wearing on them cows and stuff, and you know, they get a little bit crabbier than normal.
Melchior is hoping the temperatures at least get back up to average, about 30 degrees or so.
We've calved in February all the time with our heifers, and I've never had one like this. Not in February. I mean, we've had wet and snowstorms and stuff like that. And in Richardson, we did the same thing. We calved in February, and I don't ever quite remember one like this.
Melchior says they've got about 15 heifers that still need to give birth, and then his cows will start calving in about a week. I'm Megan Hoffman reporting for AgDay.
Speaking of calving season, those little bundles can be pretty spectacular when they arrive, as meteorologist Cindy Clausen shows us today's crop comment. Cindy.
Well, Clinton, calving season doesn't care about the weather, and that's why when this little bundle arrived in freezing conditions, that poor little thing needed to be warmed up quickly. A bovine pediatrician shared this on Twitter. They're in Osage County, Oklahoma. Now, they brought the calf right into the truck and got the calf all warmed up. Great thinking there. Let's take a look at the wind speed forecast as we head into the next 24 to 36 hours. And most of the wind that we see today is going to be in the southwestern United States. That's where the winds are really going to be picking up in that 25-mile-per-hour range or higher. And you can see especially around the Four Corners region, it's going to be a windy day. Winds die down a little bit at night for most areas. Some of those higher elevations will still be on the windy side, but they pick up once again as we head into your Thursday. I'll have your national forecast coming up, but for now, here are some hometown temps.
Introducing Farm Journal TV, on demand 24/7. AgDay, Machinery Pete TV. U.S. Farm Report on your phone and tablet. Download the Farm Journal TV mobile app today.
Trade deals, acreage plans, and weather all mean there's uncertainty in today's markets. Up next, we'll talk about how to handle it. That's today's analysis. And later, two sisters, 8 and 5 years old, lost in rugged terrain. What may be one of the main reasons behind a happy ending? Coming up in the country.
Spray for as low as $3 an acre with a new Apache sprayer. Talk to your local Apache dealer or run the numbers at apachesprayers.com/return.
Uncertainty remains a major issue for farmers heading into planting season, which is why some analysts say it's important to be engaged in your marketing plans right now. Ty Morgan has more from Commodity Classic in Orlando.
Yeah, here now with Mark Gold of Top Third. Mark, when you look at 2019, 2018 was an interesting year. Yes. First half of the year, we talked about what happens if we enter into a trade war with China, and then we did. And then the government came out and said, you know what, we're going to provide support for farmers. Of course, soybeans being the biggest recipient of that. Yeah. But this administration has made clear that support will not be given in 2020, or in 2019 or 2020.
And I think that's critical for the American farmer. And it was interesting that Secretary of Ag Perdue said the American farmer has done a good job of marketing, so they don't need any help. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that, but I think what's critical is, because we know we're not going to have that support from the government this year, the American farmer has to be proactive in this marketing. And guys who, just kind of let things go and we'll see what happens, that probably won't be good enough this year. You've got to protect this thing, because if we don't get a trade deal, there's a tremendous amount of risk, corn, wheat, and beans. But if we get a trade deal, then we're looking at much better days ahead. But you've got to be, it's great to say we're going to get a trade deal. It's great to say there's going to be a drought or anything else. But if we don't, you have to protect it, and you have to be willing to spend some money to do that.
You work with a lot of different farmers in a lot of different areas. What is the biggest mistake you see producers make in their marketing plan?
Well, we've been saying for the last 3 or 4 years, sell early. And, this year we're willing to sell early, but we want to replace it with a call option to keep that upside open. My fear is that the American farmer who's missed these opportunities in the past 3 or 4 years to sell early is going to sell early this year and then not do anything. And I always say, when the American farmer is sold out of grain, that's when these markets will rally. And I don't think this year would be any different. So if they are going to sell the grain, you have to keep the upside open. I think it'll be critical this year.
All right, Mark, thank you again for joining us. We appreciate it. Let's take a break, and then we'll have much more right here on Ag Day.
For a special report on the grain markets, call toll-free at 877-TT-HEDGE. That's 877-884-3343.
Ag Day, brought to you by Corvus Corn Herbicide from Bayer. Get an early season win against weeds with Corvus for end of season rewards.
Welcome back to Ag Day. Here, meteorologist Cindy Clausen. And Cindy, I think everybody's kind of wanting to know, when is the weather pattern going to change? We see the choppy weather out west.
Yeah, and it kind of looks like it's going to stay that way, and we'll show you the jet stream in a little bit. But yeah, we're going to be seeing several more troughs moving through over the next week or so. And while we see high pressure over much of the nation's midsection to start today, it's not necessarily going to be completely dry. You'll see that in just a second. But the main precipitation is going to be out west in the western third of the country as we head into the next couple of days. Now, we will see some lake effect snow showers and a little bit of unsettled weather in the cold variety in the northeastern United States. But the real focus will be out west over the next 24 hours. Now, as I mentioned, we'll have a weak system that's going to be moving through parts of the plains and the Corn Belt. That's going to be moving through as we get into the overnight hours and then on into the day on Thursday. You can kind of see that disturbance moving through. Meanwhile, we're just going to be seeing kind of scattered rain and snow showers depending on what elevation you are at in the west. High pressure moves into the southeastern United States, gives you dry weather there, and then that disturbance will start to move into the eastern Corn Belt and heading over towards the mid-Atlantic states as we get into the latter part of Thursday. Here's a look at your precipitation estimate. It's really been out west where we've seen those heavier amounts, especially in those higher elevations. And there you can see that weak system that's pushing just off to the east, and that's snow. So we're going to be seeing kind of localized areas potentially seeing a fair amount of that snow. Our model is showing the far northern part of Missouri in that 4 to 8 inch range. We'll kind of wait and see what happens there. But you can see those higher elevations still looking at potentially another 8 to 12 inches or more of snowfall. And we'll see some scattered, mainly lighter snows as you get into the northeastern United States. Temperature wise, kind of still the same. We're very cold in a lot of the north central parts of the United States. And as you get into the overnight hours, we're going to be seeing those low temperatures back below zero in a lot of the upper Midwest, 20s and 30s, even into 40s across parts of the nation's south, still some 50s across the extreme south. And as we head into tomorrow, temperatures not making too much of a change, but we do warm up just a little bit as that trough continues to move east. Here's a look at that trough, and you can see that as we continue to pull east, we'll start to continue to warm up in the nation's midsection, but another trough on its heels, bringing some stormy weather, more of warm weather where we see some rain on Saturday and Sunday and some snow on the northern elevations there. But then as we get into Wednesday, we're going to be seeing another trough moving in towards next week. So very active weather pattern over the next couple of weeks. That's a look at your national forecast. Now let's check out the weather where you live. Saratoga, Wyoming, rain and snow showers for you with a high of 41 degrees. Warren, Arkansas, mostly sunny and warmer with a high of 49 degrees. And Chiefland, Florida, mostly sunny with a high of 59.
It wasn't just avocados in a delivery coming over the border. See what officers found. Plus, changes could be coming soon following a rash of recalls involving meat and poultry. Next.
You could win a 2019 John Deere Gator. No purchase necessary. Visit ValentFullyLoaded.com for details and official rules.
We could soon see new guidelines for food companies. It follows an increase in recalls of meat and poultry products for concerns about them possibly containing metal and plastic. Now, Reuters reports the USDA will start advising food makers to do an internal investigation if they get a customer complaint and then notify the government within 24 hours if those products are in the marketplace. Now, the guidelines would be voluntary. USDA records show that since the beginning of last year, companies such as Tyson and Smithfield have launched more than 25 recalls due to foods possibly containing dangerous materials. Another bust by U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers. This time, they uncovered more than a ton of marijuana hidden in a commercial load of avocados. The Packer reports officers at the Pharr, Texas International Bridge discovered 421 packages of marijuana in total. It weighed over 2,000 pounds. Now, this happened at the end of February. A similar seizure was made earlier in the month as well. That's when 343 packages of the drug were found in an empty tractor trailer arriving from Mexico. Sam's Club joining the ranks of stores allowing you to use your smartphone to help you shop. The Packer reports stores will soon start using a scan and go. It allows shoppers to add items to their virtual cart as they walk around the store. They'll be able to just point their phones in the direction of the product to scan it. That's instead of having to find the barcode. The program will first be tested at its Sam's Club location in Dallas. Two little girls lost in the wilderness, but this story has a happy ending. What may have helped save their lives? Next.
All in a Row, a new resource for crop and farm management information, is brought to you by Farm Journal and Valent USA. Closed captioning is brought to you by BASF. Grow smart with BASF. We create chemistry.
This is just a great story to share with you. Two young sisters missing from their Northern California home since Friday, found alive Sunday morning. The girls were found safe and sound and uninjured. The two are crediting survival training they got with their local 4-H club for helping keep them alive. 8-year-old Leah Carrico and 5-year-old Caroline Carrico were last seen Friday afternoon outside their home in Benbow. That's a small community about 200 miles northwest of Sacramento. The two girls, armed with granola bars and pink rubber boots, had decided to go on a hike. But they went past a marker that was supposed to be their limit, and then they took a wrong turn. They found themselves lost in rugged territory. Hundreds of volunteers searched for the girls, and they were found about 1.5 miles from their home. Their father calling it a miracle.
My sister cried the whole night, so I told her to think happy thoughts of our family, and I kept watch for most of the night. I thought of going to the park with Mommy and Daddy. I thought of going to the ocean. I thought everything that I remembered, but it didn't work.
Mom says she's trying not to punish her daughters because they stuck together and saved each other. What a great story. That's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. It's been part of your day with us. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.